And will it be okay? It's just automatically recorded. Let's see. And okay, it's recorded. Shall I just stop recording? No, let's keep going because I'm so scared. I didn't record it, so just keep it going. Well, and let's see. Yeah, we have 5 minutes earlier. So let's see. Wait for people joining. We are still 5 minutes ahead of the scheduled time. And anything else? Yeah. And resources. I think we have resources available, right? Let me just check. Okay. Okay. Cool. Yes. I'm also going to share with our attendees that they have things they can download from resources, the handouts. Yes. So yes, got it. No, yes, I know. I'm just murmuring. Before start, I'm murmuring if we actually start. Well, yes, and yes, we just wait for a few minutes before the time comes. Yes, we got a minute to go, so I will start our time, and then I think people will join gradually. And just a reminder to everyone, so please use the QA function to submit questions or things you want to ask, and we will take them by the end of our presentation. And there are also handouts you can download in terms of the custom integration webinar today. And the materials will be made publicly available. Sorry, tongue slip. Publicly available after our presentation. All right, I think that's the time. So I'm going to start. And also people will still join, I believe. So hello, everyone. I'm very happy today as a host of our webinar about custom integrations. So some gentle reminders, please use the QA functions as in the menu bar to submit questions. We will take them by the end of our presentation, and there are handouts you can download as supplementary materials. We will also make our presentation recording and these materials available. And I am going to share my screen and start presentation and introduce ourselves. Just give me a minute. Yes, I am doing this. Yes. Can you see my screen? Yes? Can you see my screen, friend? Perfect. Yes. Then I'm going to start it. Perfect. Just let me know if anything's strange. So again, thank you, everyone. And today, we are here to share more about custom integrations and, of course, support you. And I'm Estelle Chen. I'm based in Taiwan, and now I'm the engagement manager at ORCID. So my major focus now is for the APAC region, as also global publishers and some parts of Europe. But today I'm very happy to have my colleague, friend Francisco, and Lisina to join me. Hello, friend.
Hi.
Yeah, Fran now is both our engagement leads and our member support technical specialist. So he will be the technical ones. And yeah, so we assume the webinar today hopefully won't be too technical, but provide more technical basics. So today, our goal is to let our attendees learn more about how to start a custom integration with ORCID. Then what we are going to cover today? So the first, why should you integrate? And what exactly is the ORCID integration? And what's a custom integration? And some details about a custom integration. And more process and tips or some details about planning, implementing, reviewing, and maintaining your custom integration. And then, let me just check. Okay, great. And please, as we said, we are always here to support our member and our communities. So please write to us. The email is there if you have any questions. And if you are a member of the current ORCID consortium, please also reach out to your consortium lead. So yeah, the very first question, why should you integrate? The answer is actually very self-evident, is to make researchers' life easier and to maximize your membership benefits. So in short, to put your membership benefits into motion. So only ORCID member organizations can use the ORCID member API. So you can add items to ORCID records and also to synchronize with the ORCID registry with your system. So a bit more about API. So in short, the API is the mechanism used to connect ORCID and your system so that organizations can exchange data with each other using common persistent identifier. So ORCID, of course, is a PIT for researchers, for people, and we work with PITs for organizations or PITs for research outputs. And through the ORCID integration, you can use API to exchange data and to enable interoperability. Just like this little graphic shows, the research information and then the connections among people, places, and things can be interoperable and connect with each other. And okay, so, and of course, some organizations, they will use systems that already have ORCID built-in functions like vendor system, but sometimes they use an in-house application. So if your system doesn't have pre-ORCID built-in functions, then you can build your own customized integration to integrate with ORCID. And we have previous webinars talking more about integrating with ORCID as more general framework. So we are welcome to visit those on the ORCID on-demand web pages. And friend, I think now it's time for us to launch some pools, right? So maybe we can launch some pools. Are you able to do that? Or do I need to stop share my screen?
Yeah, I think
Okay, let me probably
you
stop
will have to
sharing
do
my
that
screen.
because the option
Okay.
disappeared.
Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, everyone, please wait for a second. We have some mini pools so that we can understand you more.
Yeah.
So the first question is, tell us about your organizations. Can you let us know, like, how long has your organization been an ORCID member? Let me just check. Wow, so yeah, we got the new ones, which is joining less than 6 months. We also have more senior ones, more than 2 years. And the other question, does your organization have no integration? Okay, good. So we have kind of distributed patterns here. So we have our members already integrate with ORCID, and some are working on that, and some haven't started, which exactly why we have such webinars to support you. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to wait for another 10 seconds just to ensure people have the chance to vote. All right. Okay, but good to know that our participants today actually come from diverse backgrounds. I think it's also a chance for people to ask questions. Okay, I'm to stop this. I think we have okay, I can share the pool results. Give me a second. Yes, so you can take a look. So we have different patterns as I described. Some just joined, some have been ORCID members for more than 2 years, and some are already integrated with ORCID, some just started. Okay, perfect. All right. Then I think we have another question, friend. Do we? Or no?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. We will launch another mini pool. Just a second, please. Yeah, great. Yeah, we have the second question is about integration types. So for those who share you already integrate ORCID, can you let us know what type of integration does your organization have? The first is an ORCID certified service provider. So as you may know, ORCID has a certified service provider program. So there are assistants that have been certified by ORCID. And also we have, maybe you use a vendor system, or yeah, you are using custom integration. Or you use, if you're a consortium member, you use ORCID Affiliation Manager. But I don't see anyone voting. Is it, is it correct? Let me just check. Well, so can anyone share in the chat that are you able to see the vote? Well, it's a bit strange because I see no one voting. Probably something wrong here. All right, I'm going to close this. But yeah, just if you can use the chat, feel free to let us know the system you are using for your ORCID integration or you are planning to use. I'm going to close the pool now because I feel it's a bit strange. I cannot see your answer. So let me stop it. Great. All right, no worries. So instead, please use chat to share the system you are using, if that's the case. And I'm going to share my screen again. Just give me a second. Where's my screen? Here you go. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to share my screen. Yes, perfect. All right. Okay, I'm going to continue my presentation. And so, yes, so glad to see our attendees today about your background, a bit more about yourself, your organization. So next, we are going to directly into the integration side of the framework. So actually, an ORCID integration consists of 3 parts. The first is plan, and of course, integrate the real implementations and launch. I will start from plan as a first step. So the first plan is to really get familiar with the documentation right at the beginning and to involve the right people. So if you go to ORCID's website, excuse me, you can see there are different kind of entries. So the first is workflow. It's about really about different workflows per work types, or per kind of work types, I should say, just correspond to the ORCID records. And also you have an integration guide. It's really about details about how to start doing that and some FAQs. And then we have the API tutorials that really are step-by-step instructions. So you understand how to use the API to read, add, update information on your researchers' ORCID records. And then we will move to of course, kind of the most important part is to really integrate, use the API to connect to the ORCID registry. So yeah, the very first is want to share that ORCID use standard and familiar API technologies. So ORCID's API is RESTful, and we use OAuth protocols. So this you may already know as well, but we call authentication. That's really the basics of every integration. And the primary formats for exchanging data are XML or JSON. So there are 5 major steps to integrate with ORCID. So the first, researchers, it always starts from researchers register for an ORCID ID by themselves in an environment they encounter during any research workflow. And researchers can connect their ORCID IDs during this research workflows. So now you may see that in real cases, like use ORCID as a sign option, and then your system will get authenticated ORCID IDs. And then you can use the ORCID API to read information. You can both read public and trusted parties levels, and then you can write information back to ORCID records. And if you are a premium member, you can also configure webhook notifications, so your system can be notified if any changes made to your researcher's ORCID records. And this is really the OAuth workflow, the first step for researchers. So a researcher, Paloma, my colleague in this case, so she will start from doing that. And when she sees the OAuth screen, then users need to sign into their ORCID ID first. And this guarantee the correct ORCID IDs is linked, connected with your system. And you see here, this is all screen. There are some information there. This is the researcher, and this is the system that asking this permission. So it will be your customized system application. And these are the permissions you are asking to interact by API with the researcher's ORCID records. So by doing so, once the researcher grant authorized, your application can read data and can also add information. So these are the API actions that will allow your system to do to interact with ORCID record. So these are kind of the request methods, and your application can use the API. So what you will see frequently in our documentation, like API codes, there are different kind of methods: post, get, put, delete. So post basically means writing information to ORCID records. Get is reading. So when we say, or when you heard about reading information, is get code. And put code is to update stuff. And a delete is just as a literal meaning, delete information. There are the 4 major API actions. And here are the API endpoints. So basically locations that your API can access and to carry out their functions. So like this is the different API endpoints. You can see the authorization request, authorize, or token exchange, or API calls, or sandbox. And please to make sure you use the correct API endpoints when performing the actions you want, because sometimes a lot of errors you may get is because the wrong API endpoints. And then here are two examples. This is the interaction with the work section, and this is the interaction with the biography section in real production, ORCID production registry. And using this chance, I also want to share something new that you may know or may not. So ORCID recently released a new feature. So member only exclusive to ORCID members. So you can use the ORCID member API to read information from the researcher's ORCID records, from the record summary. So as you may notice from the recent ORCID records, there's a part called record summary. So you will see kind of counting of different self-asserted items versus validated items come from validated source. And the information shown here will be public data only. So private or trusted are not shown here. But use the endpoint summary so you can read this ORCID, the new ORCID record summary. So this is what you see in the UI once you operate it, and this is what you can read by using the API. And then the next is also when building the customer integration. Of course, you also need to take this into account is the scope. Remember that everything begins from researchers share their ORCID ID with your system, and your system asks permission to do certain actions. And the scopes are related with actions you can do or you will be able to do, authenticate, republic, etc. So I'm not going to read one by one, but we do generally recommend our members to try to ask scope just at once. So for example, if you use member API, it's best for you to really use scope other than just authenticate, because this scope will just allow your system to collect authenticated ORCID IDs, which of course is the basic step. But if you want to read information or add more information, this will require further scopes. So please to take this into consideration. So when building your custom integration, we always recommend you scope more than authenticate. Maybe like activist update or person update. And of course, those will also cover the authenticate part for sure. And if you have specific questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And just to add a bit more, this is the authorization link. And to give it a bit more analysis, you can see a lot of information here. So the host, the protocol, the path name, the client redirect URI is all visible in the single authorization link. And the response code will be exchanged by a token, what you will see as access token in the documentation. And those tokens needs to be stored in your system for further usage. Sorry, okay, good. Yeah, and please, here is really a very important reminder. Please just doing tests in the sandbox environment. Do not test on ORCID's production server. It's because the production server is really meaning to be live production, and any test should be performed using a sandbox environment. And so now the process that if you need to apply for a new set of sandbox credentials, if you need to update those, please use the form in the website just to contact us, and our support colleagues will help you to do so. And of course, if you're a consortium member, so always please also to contact your consortium lead. And we also have some tools available like Postman to help to test. As I shared, sometimes when building your own customized integration, you may encounter some errors. And there are some common problems that we learned from the past years along with our members. So sometimes it's about wrongly XML formatted or wrong put code or incorrect API used or misspelled endpoint as I just shared. And we also have the API error guide that will list out the error code, their meaning, and the possible resolutions for that to help you troubleshoot and find a solution. And again, so if you have any specific questions, please contact the member support or your consultant lead. Excuse me. Yep. So, oh, by the way, the different error codes just mean different messages. So these are also listed in the API error guide. So yeah, so basically, let me kind of pause for a few minutes and recap. So the first, if you want to test, build your own integration, own customized cookie integration, you should apply for a sandbox member credentials. And, of course, doing the testing and writing to us if you have any specific questions. And once you are ready, the test development work all done or complete, then we are ready to get the third step is called integration review. So contact us, or if you consult your member, contact the lead. We need to do this just to ensure everything works properly and we can have better understand about your use case, your workflow. And this can be done by 3 ways. First, send a screenshot about your integration. Especially, we need to know how a user would interact with your system and how I get displayed. And attach also the sandbox ORCID ID with the data, then we can really see that. Or you sometimes, if that's also an option, you can offer a test user account in a test integration. So our support colleagues can review it by themselves by logging into the system. Or schedule a live call just to really do a live demo. This are the 3 ways that we offer for our members to review the integration. And also, we want to raise the importance. We do have some minimum requirements that the custom integration must be satisfied in order to be live. So the first, use OAuth, so to authenticate ORCID IDs to the OAuth screen member. So please do not allow users to search for or type in any ORCID IDs. So because we have a blog post about what's so special about sign, you can also refer to that. But mainly it's because this is the only kind of proper way for you to ensure researchers can really link the correct IDs with your system. And also include the ORCID branded button link on your site to initiate authentication of the ID. So you can use the create or connect ORCID button or just ORCID as a sign option too. And you need to present all screen as we see the little screen about researcher and different permissions. We need that to be presented properly. These are the 3 minimum requirements on the front. And on the back end, now we only allow HTTPS with the S as a redirect URI. And for sandbox, it's okay, but for production, you must have HTTPS. And please also accept and store all the data returned, especially for token exchange, together with the user data like name, ORCID ID, access tokens, refresh tokens, etc., and scopes. The third is, of course, to use appropriate scopes and request methods as we share that the scope we usually recommend our members to use scope that help you to both reading and writing information and clear methods, whether you want to use get codes or put codes to do certain actions. And now, I think this is from this year, a couple of months ago. Now we are happy together with the community. So we release the best practices can make your ORCID integration more useful So if you go to documentation, you can see there's integration best practices. And these are kind of setting up, categorized by different workflows. But depending on the workflow of your customized integration, there are best practices for you to follow so that you can fully realize the potential of your ORCID integration. Then the last part is going to share a few ORCID integration case studies by different workflows. So you may know this, but I feel better to share again. So let us start from repository, because a lot of our members, they customize integrations. Some use open source like DSpace, but some use customized repositories. And of course, the first is always to start from collecting researchers' IDs first, and you store the permission, and you display their ORCID ID in the repository profiles. And you should include the authenticated IDs in any metadata. And with the researcher permission, you can read information from ORCID and to pre-populate into your repository, and you can update back. So here is an example from NASA. So they are adding the research outputs, in this case, journal articles, to their researchers' ORCID records. You can see the source list, NASA, and it's a customized system for sure. And the second case is about grant system or funding. So again, it starts from the funders collect IDs during the award or grant application process, and they store the permission, they collect the data. They can then use API to collect data to be populated into the funder system or application form. And when the funding is approved, the grant awarded, the funders can add funding back to the awardee's ORCID record. And then they are able to track and evaluate all the research outputs associated with the ORCID awardee's records. And here's an example from the one in Portugal. And also, this case, they are a customized funding system too. And the third is the publishing system. So we have a lot of cases in customized publishing workflow. And again, this will start from publishers collect ORCID IDs, and they follow the process and the practices. And eventually, they are able to acknowledge reviewers' review contributions, so add a peer review data back. And this is not just about corresponding authors. You can also collect co-authors and contributors' ORCID ID as well. I think this is an example from PLOS about peer review. Well, to recap, so basically there are three parts of a successful integration. The first is plan and integrate and launch. So for launch, usually it will go with the institutional policy in terms of launching it. But once the system is ready, then it's about how to communicate with your researchers. We also have resources available in our website. Then if you haven't started to build your customer integrations, here are the key takeaways. First, apply for the free ORCID sandbox testing and check out documentation. And if you're a consortium member, check your consortium lead, check with or contact us for any further questions. And we have some integrations case studies, especially for the customized ones in our ORCID blog post. Please feel free to take a look. And some general resources. So yes, this is my presentation today, about half an hour. So let me stop sharing. I think this is it. Yes. So now is for the QA time. Let me stop sharing. Great. So let me check if any questions. Oh, I see people raising their hands. So do you want to? Please feel free to use the chat box, or do you want to
Yes,
speak?
Agnieszka asked in the question, the Q&As,
Oh,
what are
perfect.
authenticated ORCID IDs? I
Mm.
replied in the text, but if you can confirm what is an
Okay.
authenticated ORCID ID, then
Perfect.
would
That's
be
a
great.
actually very brilliant and essential question. Thanks for asking. I think at ORCID, sometimes we use phrases that we take for granted, but probably they are just not really. So thank you. Yeah, authentic ORCID IDs. Yeah. So I will just using friends reply in the chat in the QA box as a base. So basically, authenticated ORCID IDs, meaning those ORCID IDs go through the authentication process, what we call OAuth, as you see from my slides, that researchers will be invited to say, yes, I want to connect my ORCID IDs to that system, and researcher grant permissions. And sometimes there are some practices, they just invite researchers to manually putting IDs. We understand they have good intention because they also want to ensure ORCID IDs are kind of a part of their system, but the practice are not have encouraged in a sense because this creates some errors. Sometimes researchers may have typed the wrong ORCID ID, or even sometimes researchers sometimes some people just manually enter the ORCID IDs or created ORCID IDs on behalf of others, and the person even don't know that he or she has an ORCID ID, and sometimes they create confusions, they create errors, and they will write to us. So that's why now we always advocate the importance about always follow the OAuth process, so your system can collect authenticated ORCID IDs. So that's the kind of further illustration about authenticated ORCID IDs, or what you hear about authentication. Perfect. Yeah, thank you for these good questions. And there's another question. Let me just check. Oh, thank you. Not question, but appreciation. Yeah, I don't know if any other attendees have any further questions. No. Oh, yes, I do kind of come see, and then the other two questions I want to share with you. Let me just quickly check through the community feedback. So the first, give me a second. Where are the questions? Okay, good. Yes. Yeah. The first question is that, yeah, our organization recently joined ORCID, and so now we are using public API. So can we convert our public API credentials into our member credentials? Okay, that's also a very good question. So, and let me just share. So we do have a QA link that, so Frank, can you pass a QA link to the chat? And I'm going to share a little bit more. So the short answer, yes. So if a member, you are already adopt ORCID's public API, which is free, but aimed only for individual use, and only able to authenticate ORCID IDs and read public data. If you're already doing that and you join to be an ORCID member, and we can help you to transfer those credentials from the public API into member API. But there's a process we need to follow. So basically, we need to contact the original API, public API owner. And once do that, you also need to ask for new scope. Remember, so the public API are only able to kind of read public information, but if you want to write information, that's only exclusive for member API. So you will still need to use the OAuth process again. So your researchers can once again grant write permission, write permission. So your applications can write information. So that's the answer to that question. In short, yes, but with a process. And there's still some kind of, not just transfer directly, but you still need to ask for permission again from researchers. And the other question, let me check, is, okay, there's also a very lovely questions because it happens sometimes. that I'm interested in exploring ORCID APIs, but unfortunately we haven't had a system yet. So how can we start doing that? We also have a link about that to share with our community that you have some ways to explore ORCID APIs. Basically, we offer some tools like the Google Playground, right? Why is Google Playground? And you also have the Postman stuff. So there are tools to help people to really understand how API works, even without system. But of course, these are just for kind of trying around. If you want to do a batch upload, you want to kind of deal with a lot of data, that's the best way still to have a system. Yeah, so in short. I don't know, Fran, if you want to add anything about this topic, about how do I explore APIs if we don't have a system yet.
No, I think what you reply was
Okay, yeah, we have some tools, but for you to try out. But for real usage, that may require still a system. Yes, a system. All right. Any further questions? And I apologize, one of the polls seems a bit clunky, but so yeah, but anyway, good to know people are start to integrate our members. Okay, then yeah, I think we have a shorter, but I still hope informative webinars to you. And thank you for joining. I will say maybe we should close this webinar now. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to write to us or reach out to your consultant lead. And I wish everybody a happy day. Thank you. I'm going to close the webinar and stop recording. Yes.